Woohoo!
So, Brave New Life, welcome to your Brave New Life, Sovereign, and everyone that's tuning in from around the world. This is unusual for us to be doing like late night my time and early morning. We're flipping it around a little bit, but we want to welcome in the Australian time zone. And we decided spontaneously to do this Global Gratitude Day for those of us in the States that were trying not to be traumatized with all of the things for Thanksgiving. So we wanted to bring on some of our special guests. But before we do, we have a new partner that we're streaming with on Earth Heroes TV. So I'm really excited to have you, Shay, for people. I know that you and Sovereign have done some conversations, but we're really thrilled to be partnering with you because your message around regenerative agriculture and what you're doing there based in Australia is pretty in alignment with what we're about. So Sovereign, just share for a minute because you guys have a film that's coming out. So give people a little bit of context for how you and Shay connected.
Yes, beautiful. Hey, brother. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, nice and bright here in the morning. It's awesome. I met Shay already a couple of years ago, and as I embarked on my own adventure in Vanuatu in the remote jungle of the Pacific Ocean on an island called Espiritu Santo, I was taking on the lead to build out and to really develop out in the social ecology the multiple transgenerational stratification of the human ecology, of what it would actually take for a new community to settle in an area where there is predominantly not a lot of white folk, certainly not Western folk walking around. And it was a intense adventure. And then I got an invite request from Shay Ryan to do somewhat of an interview with the prospect of it turning into a beautiful documentary. And I was like, wow, I think these guys are getting their call to adventure. And that is, of course, a classical part in the hero's journey. And I'm very well versed in that narrative because I was on my own hero's journey. So I flew them out there, and ever since then, I feel it has been a catalyst in my own life, but definitely in theirs from my recent chats with Shay. But Shay, please just fill in some blanks if I left some out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Amani and Sovereign, for this wonderful little collaboration and partnership. It's so incredible and just like enriching, really, to connect with people who are really making a positive difference in the world. And just these conversations that you guys are creating, these spaces, these global gratitude events is really, really powerful. And it's such a privilege to be a part of. So thank you so much. On the film.
So yeah. Just real quick, I put it up. If they just go to earthheroestv.com, that's the right link. Yep. So they can be streaming and they just go and hit video, and we're actually live streaming now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, check out earthheroestv.com. It's all live stream and available for free for everyone across the world. I am in Australia right now, and I have lived in the States for 4 years and celebrated and give thanks on Thanksgiving. But just quickly, the film will be released in the new year, in January 2021, and it will be available on Earth Heroes TV as well. So all of the viewers today can watch it. And if you're a part of the New Earth Project platform, you can see the trailer. It's posted on their YouTube and on their Facebook page, and you can get a little glimpse into what the film's about from that. But it's a really exciting project to work with people globally, but also look at the local solutions. We really focus on the low-tech, readily available solutions that we can all focus on in our lives to make the world a better place. And these community conversations are a great leap towards that new Earth direction. So it's just an absolute privilege to be here. So thank you guys so much for hosting this.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So you guys check out Earth Heroes TV. I'm going to bring in some of our other special guests, and many of you already know all these lovely people, so I don't have to do all these introductions, but really excited to have some of our favorite seminal voices to just give thanks, to come together. You know, one of the things that we've been talking about is that this time has been so powerful because we've been reuniting our soul family. And I know all of you celebrated Thanksgiving here in the States with new friends. And so I'd love, Chris, can you share? We've been talking a lot about connecting this. What are you grateful for, and what's happened in this past year, like that we have to give that perspective of the silver lining?
Well, I began a daily thing called the Great Awakening on April 4th, 2020, because that was a portal with the twos and the fours and all of that. And I thought I would do this for 40 days. But what was happening is that a community gathered in a kind of organic way, and I began to meet people like Kevin and Renette and Sovereign and you and Pam. I was always listening to Pam Popper's videos, like every day. And my friend Wade, who's a pediatric cardiologist, would send me stuff that Pam was doing. And Renette, I heard her talking about mass way back. And then I met Kevin. And so now it's as though I have extended this family in the most intimate of ways at a time when we are told we need to stay away from each other. So it's almost as though by shutting down our ability to be with each other physically, we have ramped up our ability to be with each other globally, and all the usual BS about your life doesn't matter anymore. So everyone here has a different platform. Nobody cares who's making what money. It's like we are all in this to win this. We're all paddling in the same direction. And to have found each other has been profoundly healing for me. And to realize that I'm not alone in this. I have been a kind of a voice crying in the wilderness for most of my career. And suddenly, I have all of these people who are saying, we are right there with you. And so it's a kind of a winnowing time. We were talking about that at lunch. My daughter's birthday is today, and she was born the day after Thanksgiving. So therefore, Thanksgiving is always a celebration of her coming to the earth. And we talked about how shocking it is. Your friends who are kind of going along with the dream spell that Sasha Stone talks about, it's shocking. The very people that you would think would understand about what's really going on are the ones most afraid and wearing the masks and washing the hands and hiding in a closet until a vaccine comes. And then the others, here's one of the things I found that's so interesting to me. It's almost like the more initials you have after your name, the more degrees you have from the fanciest universities, the less likely you are to be able to see what's actually going on. And so the people right here where you are, Kevin in Newark and Renette in Nevada City and Pam in Ohio and Sovereign in Bali and you down in Connecticut, I feel like if you came to my house today, it would be as though we've known each other forever and we were born for this time. And I know that so many people listening feel exactly the same way. And that is, I'm just so excited about what's happening. I really can barely stand it. And when I began, I was just sort of tiptoeing around a little bit, to see how much people could tolerate of the truth and all of that. And now I have found a community where you can say whatever the truth is. And then you learn not only is that right, but let me tell you something else. And so then we all kind of share this information. It's like, Paul Stamets does this amazing work with mushrooms and mycelia and all of that. And it is almost as though the mycelia of our consciousness has gone all over the globe and we are finding each other through the real internet, but using the tools of the current social media. It's amazing to me that we have the technology now at the time when small group are trying to separate all of us, put us in solitary isolation. And Renette talked about the Biderman's, what are steps of torture, which gave me the whole way to think about it. And so, of course, we decided to do this because it's like, oh, really? Is this what you want to do? We're not having it. Get away. So That's what I have to say.
I love it, Chris. You know, and that is, it's so syntropic, and Brave New Life is really about bringing those references to nature, but in this current time, right? So we have the mycelium web that has always been there, right? That's what connects the earth. It's really bringing us back to earth. It's like we're grounded, and we're also taking it into these other galactic realms. I mean, we're really on this precipice, right, of I think so many people are really just getting in touch with their true selves. And who knew you had so many raving fans? But we did. But, you know, for people that you've been, you know, talking for decades. And so I think it's that we didn't remember that we were so connected.
I think so, yeah.
We lost touch with that we are all one. And what this has, you know, the experience of the past few months, and there's a lot of hardship and there's a lot of challenges, but it's that remembering that we are all one and we're all uniting together. And when we do that, we're more powerful than any one of us alone. So that's the excitement that we all feel in coming together. It's like, oh, we're reuniting the tribe. I've always seen it as this grid, you know, like acupuncture points all over the planet. And literally we're just lighting up the grid right now.
That's right. Yeah.
And we're finding each other. I feel like it's kind of like it's roll call, like, oh, I'm here, you know, like it's really picking up speed, the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So, Renette, one of the powerful, you know, you guys have been on a lot and I love it, but this tree story, I mean, talking about mycelium and what's happening with that and how we're connected. I would love for you to share a little bit about where you are and from that perspective on the other side of the coast.
Well, you know, here in Nevada City in Northern California, we were battling it out for the last few months with what's called Pacific Gas and Electric. They were coming in and they had the authority to come in and just start cutting all of our trees. It didn't matter if they were heritage trees or on private property or in the public right of way. Didn't matter, you know, if they were on part of the heritage tree tour or provided shade to keep your PG&E electric bill down during the summertime. They're just coming in and they literally, it felt like we were in the animation Avatar. It was literally 3 to 400 foot high cranes, huge, in this little tiny town. And it was so surreal. It was a very interesting experience because we're a very environmentally based and focused town, but I realized that most people were kind of in the fetal position around COVID. They weren't able to come out like they usually would in droves. But what was fascinating was that over these last COVID months, there's been a real evisceration of the fabric of our community, a lot of shredding of our relationships and friendships and neighborhoods. And I was raised here since I was 4. I've never experienced anything like this, and it seems to have been by design. But we were coming together, a small group of us were coming together and pushing back physically, like sleeping in the graveyard at nighttime and 24/7 vigilance, you know, and taking turns and even having donuts out for the workers. So we're being copacetic with them, not trying to get them in the crosshairs. And the biggest mystery for me was, how am I going to sit in the cemetery or sit next to these trees or sit in a tree with these individuals who we've been sparring online. It's been you know, like a saloon bar fight online for months and months, and, you know, throwing chairs and smashing each other over the head online and virtually. And now I'm like, we have to come together. This is going to be really fascinating. And at first I have to tell you, everybody was just a little bit stiff at first. And then we just kept our eye on the ball. And we just kept our eye on the ball. And we didn't go to where the conflicts were and started getting into that entanglement. We just kept focused on what was important, and it was the trees. And I just think it's so amazing that it was the trees that actually, again, right, showed us how networked we are, how rooted we are into one another. And so here we were battling over the trees. And I have to tell you, there's 263 trees they were trying to cut. And all we were trying to do was save 16, that's it. And PG&E said, we can't work with you because that would actually set a very dangerous precedent working with the community. So we can't do that. That was their words. Ultimately, I think we saved like 2.5 trees because the one tree that we had a tree sitter in, they compromised with us and they only cut it halfway down. And it was really fascinating because it was such a symbology. Like, you know, this tree, we saved a little trunk of it, right? That's all that's left of a 140 foot high tree. There's only half of it, right? And but the most important part is the roots. right? What we're talking about. And the mycelium, and that is actually still there. And what the trees were teaching us, that no matter how much division is thrown our way, we are still connected to the core. And so we didn't necessarily lose this battle against PG&E. They actually did capitulate, and they did let us spare a couple trees, so we did win a little bit. But what it taught me was that no matter what, we as a community, no matter how much those on the outside try to divide us, they can't. They can't, because when the call arises, right, that clarion call, we know how to actually step into our power and actually do the job that needs to be done. And we are seeing that here now. We have been connected and did not know. We've all been probably connected on a spiritual level and didn't know this for decades and decades and generations. But the fact that I'm seeing you, Amani, and you, Christiane, and Pam, and Kevin, and Sovereign, you're my family. You're my warrior sisters and brothers. And I have to say that I have no doubt, and I've already experienced that when the call arises and we need each other, we lay down our experience. We lay down our skills. We don't hold the cards close to our chest. We don't hold back and say, well, I need that for myself. Whatever we have, we lay it on the table and we share it readily, because we know the times are absolutely demanding it. And so that's the beautiful thing. I was just visiting some friends right now. I said, I've lost these friendships. Some of them are 30, 45 years long, right? Since people have known me since I was a child, before my mother died. These are deep roots, I thought, but those have been washed away. But the people that I'm standing with and was sitting around the Thanksgiving table with, we would go to war with each other. I mean, we would like stand on the battleground lined up next to each other, and we would fight and die for each other. I've never had those kind of relationships before, nothing like that. And this is the unintended consequence of COVID. And it's the most beautiful thing. And I think what we've done is we've taken that big, huge tidal wave of the COVID coming in, and we've done that beautiful Aikido move. We're like, okay, come, let it come in, come on, let it wash over us. And we're gonna go like this. And here we are on this beautiful screen together. And we are a powerful, powerful family to be reckoned with. And this did not exist. The door did not exist. The possibility was not even available 6, 7, 8 months ago. Could not have happened. And the level of inspiration I'm getting from each and every single one of you, it's the most beautiful, beautiful feedback loop I have ever seen out of such a dark crisis. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, because I hope your ears are burning, because I'm always talking you all up a storm. And I just have so many people coming to me saying, hi, Renette, you don't know me, but boy, I thought I was alone. And your interviews, your podcast with everybody is what is elevating me. And I'm having more of my sisters and brothers calling me, messaging me, contacting me, people I don't know, saying, oh my gosh, Renette, and we're instantly connecting, having an hour, 2-hour long conversation on the phone. And then we're going out and saying, okay, let's meet for lunch. I'll meet you halfway. And it's explosive. It's explosive. And so it just, congratulations to everyone for not letting it take us down and actually doing the beautiful Aikido move and utilizing the art of war, essentially, and turning this to our advantage.
Love it. Love those metaphors, Renette. I just muted you. I think there's a little back feed, but that was incredible. Sovereign, do you want to share? We're talking about syntropy and mycelium and roots and all your favorite things. And I'm going to unmute you.
In syntropic agroforestry, which has been a bit my field of study, but I applied it into human ecology, and this ties into what Renette talks about. And with that, remembering and learning how nature naturally operates and how our human ecology would therefore naturally orientate itself based on our intrinsic attractions to connection, to sharing, to being part of tribe, family, and we're being sort of whacked with this great divide and separation in our own personal lives, and yet it's bringing us together to meet with others. What is really a dysfunctional and very entropic program in the Western culture, I call it the Western cult, because it's really been programmed and socially engineered to be a consumeristic society based on a scarcity model that doesn't exist. And Dr. David Martin really laid that out a couple of months ago, where those pieces of legislation and orientation really came from. And the fear of death in relationship to the trees is an artificial program, really, because it's part of life. you cannot have life without the cycle of death and life following one and the other up. And so in the agroforest, the new plants, the new shoots, the new seedlings, the future trees, that they can't even begin to grow because the bigger trees are still taking up all the sunlight and taking up all the space. But when those trees come down and a clearing is made in our ecosystem, new relationships, new constellations, and new growth can happen. But the beautiful thing is that when something is laid down to rest into an ecosystem, such as an agroforest, all of that biomass, all of that accumulated life density actually becomes bioavailable to these new emerging species that are given the space and are given the opportunity and the light availability to connect in. And what it does when we prune, because in syntropic agroforestry, that's something that's just really common practice. When you prune, you kind of give a pulse out into the mycelium network. It releases gibberellic acid, which is a stimulant hormone for the microbes in the soil to basically know, okay, it is time to get active. It's a pulsation of life that goes through that mycelium network that basically activates the sublayers of the soil. And that's what I'm seeing happening, and also in this story of Renette, because the trees, the external reality is a representation of our internal experience. And so she had a very direct experience of that, where these great trees are being removed. But really, what's happening is that a tremendous amount of activation is happening through the process of that. And the beautiful thing about life is that we can always plant more life and new life, and life just builds on life. And so this program of death that is a very artificial and very poorly comprehended in the Western culture. It's feared in quite a great extent. And what that really means, because all that death is change. It means that people are fearing change, but with that they have actually been programmed to fear life, because life, and the only constant in life, is change. And so there's a beautiful narrative in this where we can see the value of the death of something and the rebirth of what that then constituted. And this is the ongoing cycle on Earth. It's death and rebirth. And on our internal landscape, as the heroes on our own hero's journey, embarking each on a brave new life, however many times we do that throughout our lifetime, we used to need to get a hit on the head by the universe, to get a midlife crisis, to wake us up and be like, oh, wow. And we needed to end up in hospital or a really bad accident. And the world is really being done a tremendous, I wouldn't say favor, but this is one of the biggest springboard opportunities for any human being that is a little bit attuned to the incoherence and the distortion that is playing out. This is the call to adventure. This is this what you want? And if it isn't, then what are you going to do? And so in that sense, I feel that everything that's playing out in our external reality as a narrative can be just like how we can analyze our own dreams in very simple descriptions. We can see that this dream outside of ourselves is here for our personal growth, our activation, to reconnect us with our source, with our tribe, so that we can start speaking to what we really want to bring into being during our lifetime, because we are the regeneration. We are that generation that is going to be catalyzing regeneration of the intrinsic, of the innate, of the natural. And I'm very excited to be a part of all of this, definitely.
So welcome to your brave new life. Yes. Humanity's having a massive leap. For those of you just tuning in, we'd love to hear where you're coming in from. But just to give everyone a heads up on our spontaneous Thanksgiving here, we are going to be here for another 15 minutes, and then we're going to move everyone into a Zoom room. It's a private Zoom where we want to talk with all of you. There is a pre-registration required. I'm putting the Zoom link in. We only have a few spots left, so it will definitely be whoever gets there first. And some of you who are going to be in there better be there first. But what we're going to start with, just to give an overview, a 30-minute purification ritual with Oracle Girl. Many of you have been reaching out. She's going to be joining us from Switzerland, early hours for her to launch us off. So we'll be going over that, but I'll put the Zoom link in one more time, and we will be streaming. If you can't get in the room, because we are limited to 1,000 people, we will be streaming that on Earth Heroes TV. So you can get the purification with Jacqueline, with Oracle Girl, at Earth Heroes TV. And then after that, we're going to actually go into breakout rooms, and we'll be having conversations with each other. So you'll meet some other people there. I'd love to bring from the ground, Capitol in California, our little freedom angel warrior, Tara. Give us a quick gratitude, Thanksgiving blessing from your car. As I think I have, hold on, let me unmute you. I can't, oh, you have to unmute.
Okay, got it. Hello, everybody. I am still on the grounds of the outside the California Capitol. I want to say I just had Thanksgiving. I just had church. I just had, community gathering with 1,000 people. And I want to say that, like I just jumped on when I heard Renette end up in Sovereign. Really, this is that moment where everyone is just diving deep and saying, okay, I only have the time and the heart for the real meaningful conversations right now. I don't want, I'm not going to be distracted. And I can tell you, it is seamless. If I have seen or felt one thing this year, in the thousands of people that I've had the honor to meet, is the guided moment, the guided nature of this moment, that we are really walking together. And so, the update really is just, again, we won't be divided. We won't be disconnected from our inner knowing. And I just stood with 1,000 people who are standing in that truth, that, we won't let ourselves be distracted or divided, really, more than anything. And I want to tell you, there was a beautiful moment on the flatbed truck where a dad had his 2 young twin girls who he pulled out of school to homeschool, and they were singing about history. They were singing about the Constitution. They were singing about God and the connection to the divine. And 1,000 people, I looked at everyone's face, I could feel it in my own, and they were looking and smiling. And it was like every home, every community through time across the globe, of that love and joy and connection for our youth and for what this life means, and everything beautiful. And it was really, that's why I say I just had Thanksgiving with 1,000 people. It was like that, that connected community. And it was, I want to share that to anyone who might feel isolated out there. That is to reach out, because there's people in your neighborhood, in your town, waiting for you to reach out back to them, and you aren't alone.
Thank you, Tara. That's so important, so beautiful. Appreciate you, and I love that beautiful Thanksgiving update. We have 10 more minutes. Pam, I want to pass it to you. I know you're having multiple Thanksgiving gatherings, and then we're going to close with Kevin before we move into the other room. Tara, if you need to hop off and make sure you get in the other room, I know you're still in motion, so do what you need to do. So Pam, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for including me in this. And I am doing all kinds of illegal gatherings. I refuse to social distance, and so I'm having Thanksgiving dinner number 2 with no masks and social distancing tonight. So that's kind of fun. And of course, I'm grateful. Some of you saw my cat, who's he likes to make an appearance in anything video I do. So I'm real grateful for that. But a couple of things I want to say. I've been thinking a lot this whole time about attachment. My grandparents always told me, don't get attached to things and places and all that sort of thing. And I never really heard them say much about people, but I was attached to a lot of people who were a lot of work to be attached to. I didn't realize that, And what I mean by that is this constant, I know everybody in this group understands what I mean, this constant dancing around to make sure that you don't go to a topic that's going to be a little bit sensitive, because you don't want to ruffle their very sensitive little feathers and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that I needed to do this. For what reason, I can't even fathom right now. I actually couldn't explain it to you, other than we all want to belong someplace, right? And so, and I think a lot of people are going through this. These relationships were never really very stable, but we still feel devastated when they go away. It's a form of rejection. That's the way we originally experience it until we process it, right? And now I really understand that I think I was doing the rejecting because I was the one who said, I'm going to stand up for what I know is right. So if you're going away, then that's fine. I guess I did the pushing more than I realized in the beginning. And like the rest of everybody has said, this new tribe where we don't have to dance around and we can say what we think and everybody is on the same page. This is really where I belong. I ended up where I belong. But this thing of attachment, there's another aspect of it that I want to talk about. The people who I am still connected to, and of course in this group, we're talking about all the things that are screwed up. Government's screwed up, education's screwed up, healthcare is screwed up. We've been talking, my whole adult life, I've been talking to somebody about this, and it's never gotten any better. It gets worse every year. And for some reason, I was very attached to a particular way of solving these problems. And I think that part of my resistance in the beginning of this was not realizing that all this stuff we've been talking about for decades, the failure of all of our systems, they've all been blown up and they're all going to change, and they're going to change and they're going to become what we've been talking about. The homeschooling movement, the healthcare system has this huge void right now. People just aren't going to the doctor. They're finally doing what I've been saying for 25 years, not hanging around with doctors. So once I sort of realized, you know, you've been wanting these things to happen for a long, long time. You finally get what you ask for, and now all you do is complain about it. What is up with that? So I got to this place of realizing sometimes you get what you ask for, sometimes you get what's necessary. You just don't get it in quite the way that you visualized it. And I'm a person who had to learn, I think, the final lessons in attachment, to just let things happen the way they're going to happen, seize the opportunities that are in front of us the way that they're presented, and let's just make this new world the way we want it to be. I mean, we are going to have a new normal. It's just not the one they envision. It's going to be a new normal, the one that we envision, the one that we've all been talking about in some way, shape, or form for a long time. We're finally getting our way. That's the bottom line. And we had to find each other in order to do it. And sometimes you just have to blow stuff up in order to rebuild it. You can't remodel something. You know, it's like buying a house and the house is so decrepit, you have to tear it down and build a new one. It's just not possible to rehabilitate some things. And those are the systems and social connections and all of the stuff that was going on before. It could not be fixed. It had to be blown up, and then we have to rebuild something else. And I think that's where we are right now. And I'm really grateful for it, because I could have gone through this entire life and ended it frustrated because I never saw what I wanted to see happen to the planet. It's going to happen now for sure. And
I love it. And I'm grateful for all the work that you're doing, Pam, behind the scenes. I mean, this group meets on a weekly basis, sort of as our Brain Trust Mastermind. So we really, I think the updates of what we're all doing in our own worlds and then how we're overlapping it is what's sustaining all of us and reminding us, you know, giving us hope. So thank you for that. Right. Kevin Jenkins, I would love for you to close us out. We have at least 5 minutes to hear from you. Let me unmute you so we can hear that voice.
5 minutes is more than enough. Well, first of all, I want to tell you, I thought about gratitude today and what that meant to me, but I had to do a deeper dive on who I was as a human being. The evolution of Kevin Jenkins, like, you know, where I started from to get me to this point. And I remember being in a household, my house with my mother and father, and I came in one day and I was having this deep conversation with my father, and he looked at me as if I was crazy. He said, well, Kevin, all of that sounds miraculous, but what is your context? You know, and I thought about that all day. You know, what is the context of me being so grateful? And I thought about the life that God has given me. And I thought about, you know, the enormity of what I've worked on all of my life to lead me to this particular point. You know, and I thought about every little piece of it today. I just had a little time and I was like, you know what? How did I get here to have this greater conversation about humanity, about courage, about trust, about family, about reevaluating what my relationships are with people? And I got to tell you something. Today, I kind of like freaked out a little bit. I was laughing because I'm so comfortable with it now. I'm comfortable fighting for the right thing. I'm comfortable with breaking ground and making new friends. I'm comfortable about evolving as a human being and finding the spirit to speak up when it's time to speak up. Because for so many years, I cloaked myself because of my politics. I cloak myself because of my business relationships. I even cloak my nationalism in the middle of being nationalistic. You know what I'm saying? So I had to cloak myself because I don't believe the community that I grew up in is, even as much as they adored me, they would have resisted me a lot. And this is the first time in my life that I've broken all of the norms with my friends. I have pushed them to the limit. I have detached myself from the craziness. And I have an openness about me now that if you are not speaking truth, I don't care if you're a pastor, I don't care if you are someone that I used to think that was someone that I've just pushed you out to the ocean because I see the damage that's been done by me not saying something or not being a part of it, by me cloaking myself. You know, obviously I'm using my wife's out there all of these years being this political figure, and I would be the one saying these things, but now that's over. I have shocked the system. I've been like the pill in their system now that's like causing all of this disruption because I've learned so much. So for me, gratitude is being open, finding one's heart, finding one's understanding of love. And I think I'm there in my life right now. I'm open to all of that. You know, I remember when my daughters were growing up, I used to always look at them with this weird look, like, how did I have these two beautiful girls? Like, what did I do to deserve this? Well, I don't think it was about deserving it. I had to earn it. I had to earn these beautiful children. I had to earn this beautiful life. I had to embrace my struggle. I had to embrace my pain. I had to open myself up to different things that I might not have felt was conducive for my personal growth. You know, the next part of my life is not about my personal growth. It's about growing as a human being and showing myself as an example to other people that might need to find some hope. So this journey is not about Kevin Jenkins anymore. It's about that. It's about every breath I take is to secure your life. Every breath I take is to break the chains of confusion from you. Every breath I take now is to help someone else. And I've always hid that. I will be compassionate to various people. You know what people used to say about me? He's horrible. He's the meanest person on earth. But I had to conceal that other part of me because if I revealed that from the culture I come from and the business environment I came from, I thought they would annihilate. I thought that wouldn't work in my world. So I had to have all of these big, pretty things. I had all of this stuff lined up. But I got to tell you, God's grace, you know, when people say God's grace and mercy, but God's grace has spoken to me and given me, because I believe God speaks grace in your ears a lot of times. You know, he'll speak to you. That's a grace moment. And I got to tell you, I think in the last year, you know, because of my new friends that I have, friends that are evolving like me, growing like me, loving like me, seeking truth, seeking God's face like me, that's my new family. So when I'm walking down the street, people say, hey, Kevin, I'm like, how you doing? And when I see them with a mask, I say, that's not my new family. I'm looking for somebody else. I'm looking for somebody else that's going to fight for their humanity. And I've been really dealing with that and going through that emotional process in the last year and saying, you know what, I'm going to trust God. I'm going to trust the voice he gave me. And I'm going to fight for myself and fight for my community and fight for the extended world the way that he will be fighting for us, or the way other great men and women have fought for us, who have sacrificed everything for us. So it's my time to show up. It's my time to sacrifice. It's my time to be real be real about who I am. And it's my time to be able to say, listen, I'm going to draw a line in the sand for my humanity, my community's humanity, and the world's humanity. That's where I'm at right now. So that's what I'm so grateful for, that God's extended my frequency. You know, extended my frequency, not the self frequency, but the world's frequency. And that's where I'm at personally in my life right now. And I thank all of you wonderful people for helping me on that journey, because I listen to all of you independently and I find spaces in your language and I put it in my DNA. So I know that any given time when my ego absorbs my personality, I know to push it away, because so many of you have been sacrificing your life for so long. And I thank you for this special moment at this special time to breathe life and love over you, because I know you do it to me all the time. And I thank you very much.
We're just beautiful reflections of one another, Kevin. That's all we're doing, is reflecting that light and shining very bright. So I'm grateful for the connections with all of you and the relationships that we've been able to foster. And I know this is just the beginning in this new earth that we are co-creating, that we're birthing. We talk about this love language of sovereignty. I just want to dive in a little bit to Brave New Life before we move into the second part, which is going to be a private Zoom. For those, because there are some people that are maybe new to Brave New Life, and Sovereign, we can put our email in there, so, or our website, so people can get on our list. But what we've been doing is really exploring this feeling-based relating and listening to each other. It's really about stepping outside and looking for a third party to save us and looking for answers outside of ourselves. I think what all of you touched upon is that we've all come home more deeply to ourselves, and that we're really on this path, humanity right now. We are evolving to this moment of coming home, and we're at a critical crossroads, and nobody knows what's going to happen. That's the big mystery. But we're going to enjoy it and be celebrating, and also be really real with all, you know, encompassing all aspects of it. So as we move into this second part in the Zoom room, for those of you new, because I see some people from Oracle Girl trying to figure out what the heck we're doing, but this has been a private, intimate community that we've been sharing conversations, and several people in there have asked us to reach out to Jacqueline, who's Oracle Girl, and she'll be doing a purification ritual to open up our time together. We're gathering, we're circling as a community, and after we do that meditation, we will be breaking out into rooms so that we can actually talk to each other, just like what we've been doing here. And so that's really what we wanted to extend, is this connection, community, and ability for everyone to really know and believe that they're not alone. So if you're tuning in, I'm going to put down Brave New Life is our mailing list if you're not on it yet, because we are getting massively censored, as many of you know. So in order to stay in touch with us and get all these lovely emails from Sovereign and myself to nourish your cells, get on our mailing list, because our platforms are shutting down. We have a warning on Instagram, so we're probably going to be taken off there. We've been taken off of YouTube. You know, I've been quarantined on Facebook now for spreading the virus of truth for, 24 days now. I have 6 days to go, but I'm actually good. I'm actually good. And I'm feeling the connections no matter what. We are invincible. We are relentless, and we are going to connect no matter what. So that's what this Thanksgiving was about. What was on the flyer, Sovereign? We will connect. We will be full. We will love. We will pray. We will share. So for those of you that are tuning in, I'm going to put the last link again, but the Zoom room is filling up. I encourage you, if you're just coming in for the meditation, to watch it on the live stream, so that the people that want to come in and be in community with us can be able to stay on, because once those spaces are locked up, other people won't be able to access it. And we really wanted people to stay on with us for the next 2 hours. So I'll post it one more time. We won't be answering any emails or questions. We're going to go into the room and transition to that. I want to thank all of you for being here, for being in my life and sharing your gifts with the world, that bright light. So we'll see you on the other side. Thanks, everyone. Lots of love.